so stock and the evaluation, and then the various things that we are going to talk about in here is your common review features of common stock right in here, and then we were going to talk about intrinsic value and a stock price, and then we are going to talk about discounted dividend model and corporate valuation model explicitly and indicate other approaches. And common stock, as opposed to preferred stock, common stock represents ownership, therefore control. Then elect the directors, or directors elect management and maximize the stock price. And we told you that subject to agency, problems and ethical discipline. Taken care of. Okay, and then we know how to. We are going to see what is the intrinsic value and what is the price. Price has to be equal to value. Okay, so we'll do dividend discount model or corporate valuation model, and then model based on the market multiples. So you know that price is equal to, this is expected dividend, this is also expected dividend, so all are expected, not realized. So price is basically present value of expected dividends, and this is expressed as the equation above. So this equation means is the present value of expected dividends. Then we are going to look at how we are going to get the expected dividends. If it is a constant growth model, and then dividend 1 is going to grow at a constant rate of g. So the first one is d1 equals d sub 0, 1 plus g to the power 1. Second one is to the power 2, and so forth. And if this going to be going into infinity, then it becomes very simple, which is called constant dividend model. So it is p sub 0 if it is 0 in here, and then it is 1 in here. So if it is 1 in here, here meaning p sub 0 is equal to 1. So basically you will say p hat n is equal to dn plus 1 r sub s minus g. So this is your dividend discount model. Now we can go to this. The requirement is that, remember that in the denominator it says rs minus g, so it is dn plus 1 and rs minus g, and in order that this becomes greater than 0, then rs must be greater than g. Okay, but if it is the other way, then it becomes negative and it doesn't make sense. So you know how to calculate SML. Using SML, this gives you 9%. So now that we know that discount or R sub S, so we are going to apply this. Assume that your initial dividend is $2 and it is growing at 4%. So you do, first you apply, this is 4%, and then again this is going to be 4%, all constant. This is going to be 4%, add infinitum, and you calculate these numbers. One is 2.08, then find out the present value of it, and then 2.1632 present value of it, and then you take 2.24973, take the present value of, it, and then you'll have to add them up. So this is going to be, you see, that will be your present value, but it's going to be going to infinity, right? So this is going to be infinity. You cannot do it for infinite times. So you apply the formula that was there before, that is p hat n is equal to dn plus 1 over rs minus g. So you apply that and it becomes a simple solution of 4160. So you can say that if you have a dividend series like 2.08 and going into infinity, the price of the stock would be $41.60. Now you see, this is also known as equilibrium price. The reason it says equilibrium price is this. Suppose it is not 41.60 in the market. In the market, it is $42. So you see, the market is making a mistake. It is saying $42, so market is overvaluing it. If market is overvaluing it, so what will people do? People will go away from the stock, right? Correct? So because it's a true value, this value is true value. If the true value is 41.60 and market value is 42, so market is overvaluing it, and people will be just selling that stock, and the stock prices will go from $42 to 41.60. So on the other hand, if the market value is $41, so everybody sees that to be undervalued, and everybody will go for and demand this stock, and stock will go up from $41 to 41.60. So that is why we call it equilibrium. That means if you disturb this price, if the market makes it away from this price, it will come back to the true value. Now, you can always find out if it is the price at year. I would like to know what is the price at year 1. So remember the general formula I gave you. So now it is n is equal to 1. Previously n equals 0. So 1, and then it should be dn minus n plus 1 is 2, and then r sub s minus g. You put the input and you get 4326. There is another quick way of getting into p hat 1 is this. You put this p hat equals p sub 0 times 1 plus g. This you can apply directly because this is a constant growth model. So both they keep this equation also handy. That is, p hat 1 is equal to, or p hat n, any n. Let's say you would like to know the price expected to prevail in 3 years. Then n is equal to 3. Then this is p sub 0 times 1 plus g. Okay? Now, we can find out a return. That means r sub s has two returns, which is dividend yield over plus capital gain. So let me... So you take the dividend yield, which is this one, 5%, and then you take the capital gains. They bought it at this one, 41.60, and sold it at 43.26 at 4%. Remember that p hat 1, we found this to be 43.26. So 43.26 minus 41.60 divided by 41.60 is 4%. So you can put both of them together, this return equation, and you can get 9%. Now, if it were a perpetuity, like every time you get the perpetuity, means is the same thing over and over again into infinity. So $2, $2, $2. What is the growth in here? 0, right? So you say, and this is the same thing you had in a bond. So you put the payment over R. That's your 22. Okay. All right, then supernormal growth is, that is when growth are happening not at a constant rate but at a variable rate. So an example is here. There is, look, from here, from 0 to 1, it is growing at 30%. From 1 to 2, it is growing at 20%. Then from 2 to 3, it is growing at 10%. And then it stabilizes to 4%. That means 3 to 4, it is 4. And then 4 to 5, let's say this is 5, is 4%. And onward. So you can see that there are two kinds of series. One is this part where there is supernormal growth, and the other is this part, which is basically constant growth. So you apply the constant growth formula to the constant part, and then you apply the present value formula to the other parts. So here you see the constant growth starts at 3. Therefore, you can find out P hat 3. Okay? So P hat 3 would be D4, then R sub S minus G. That's 71.39. So you have it under 3. There are two flows. One flow is 3.432. Another flow is 71.39. So these two are two flows under year 3. Then you bring it to present value, and then the present value would be the price. Now I also ask you to do this using cash flow. Do that with the cash flow model and let me know if there is any difficulty. So cash flow, you invoke cash flow and then put, this would be your cash flow 1, 2.6 would be your cash flow 1. So this is your CF1, and then this is your CF2, and under CF3, you should add both of them and put there as CF3. So CF3 would be basically 3.432 plus 71.39. That is your CF3, okay? And then you calculate for NPV, and using NPV you will get the number $62.784. So do that using cash flow. It's very easy. Don't do this with present value method. Use the cash flow. If there is any difficulty, let me know. And then whenever you are going to say if G is equal to 0 for 3 years before long run growth, so here are the growth. All are equal to same 2, 2, 2, and then constant growth at 2.08. Again, the same stuff. You bring these into here, discounted to 1 year. This is discounted 2 years, 3 years, and then you get P hat 3, again discounted back. Now, if there is a negative growth, what will be the scenario? And that is, let's say if you have a negative growth, G is negative, so you put it right in here, that becomes plus, and so 9 plus 4, 13, and then discount will be 13%. So far we were using DCF, dividend discount model, or discounted cash flow model. Now we are going to do corporate valuation model, you have calculated FCF before. This is your free cash flow. And this is no PAT. This part is no PAT. And then you have depreciation, amortization, and this is the required investments in operating capital. So this is required investment in operating capital, okay, to sustain your business. So what we will do, we'll apply this FCF model, and let's say we had, remember in a dividend discount model, we had this constant part, and here we call that part horizon value. Okay, so things will be clear. So here, so instead, notice instead of RS, we now have WSCC, and WSCC has both R sub D and R sub S. Okay, so it has R sub D and R sub S in it. So all of these are FCFs. Previously in dividend discount model, they were dividends. Now they are FCFs. So exact same way, that is, you have from here onwards constant, and before that it is supernormal. So it is, if FCF is -5, then 10, 20. So you bring all of them to present value, and from year 3 onwards, your free cash flow is going to grow at a constant rate of 5%. So you apply the constant growth model. So notice though, in here though, it is, let me contrast those. Let's say for one stock scenario, you had PN is equal to DN plus 1 RS minus G, right? Now here you'll call not PN, is value, because you are looking at the total value, and then you say FCF N plus 1, and then instead of R sub S in here, you put WACC and then the constant growth. So compare and contrast these two, PN versus VN. PN is just a stock value, and V is the value of stock and bonds together, because you are dealing with FCF, which is the entire corporations. So here an example, what is the firm's intrinsic value per share? Now you say the market value of equity is market value of operations plus non-operating asset and minus market value of debt and preferred. So the market value of operations is 877.5, right? So that is your market value of operations, this number. Market value of non-operating asset is this one given here, that's that. And then market value of debt and preferred stock is right here, 40 million is right here. This is your market value of equity. Now, once you have market value of equity, you divide by number of shares and you get the stock's price. So there are two ways that you can get a stock price. One is the direct dividend discount model, and the other one is free cash flow model. And free cash flow model, you get the market value of equity, which is this one. And after you find out the market value of equity, you divide that by number of shares outstanding. And there is the other method is the multiple methods, and these are the multiples we are going to use, and then that will give you some comparables. So let's say if you are going to do use price earning shares, so price earning multiplied by earnings per share. If you take an earnings per share and use the price earning multiple, then you see equity price earnings go, and it becomes price per share. Same thing with price per cash flow, price sales. And there is another one called enterprise based multiples, which is enterprise value divided by EBITDA. So preferred stock is just a hybrid security. It is like bond because it's a fixed dividend, and then it is like stock because that dividends can be, if the things are bad, then can be not paid, and they will be paid in arrears. And preferred stock evaluation is this one: dividend by preferred required rate of return. All right, folks, I hope you see that whatever you learned in time value of money can be applied here also in stock valuation. Do the suggested problems, and of course, please use your cash flow methods on financial calculator. All right, we now go to chapter 10. Thank you.